All right. Good morning, No Limit team. Folks, I'm really excited for what's in store for you today because today's theme is this: your choice, risk or return. Risk or return. How profitable is your return of investment? How profitable is your return of investment? Now, folks, we just came off last month of decennium where we had an entire decade that we celebrated for North American senior benefits. I don't know about you, but I know me, Greg, and Laura, we are talking about the gold rush, this sense of urgency going on right now where you're at the right place at the right time, the right people with the right product, the right services. And in this state of history right now, guys, girls, this is explosive growth that we're experiencing right now. And I don't want you to miss out on this insanity of a return on investment that you can feel and experience in your business, in your family, in your bank account, in your investments. So let's kind of dive in here first off. Ready? All right. So Chad Milner and Craig Harvey, when they started North American Senior Benefits back in July of 2012, they said this: look, with us creating this business, we don't want to be known as the biggest, the burliest, the baddest company on the entire planet. We want to be known as the most well-rounded. We want to be known as the healthiest business, right? When it comes to a brokerage, a privately held brokerage, that's what we want to be known as, is healthy, right? So when it comes to not so much a profitable business as it is most profitable per agent. See, that's what they were most concerned about is, look, if we can get these folks to be operating at a very profitable optimum as far as a high caliber producing agent, then no joke, the return on that is going to be what? A profitable business. So really the question that I want to ask all of you today, and really maybe towards the end, you might think a little bit differently about some things about your business is, hey, how profitable is my return of investment? So what's the definition of profitability? First off, profitability is this: achieving financial gain. And what that does is it generates a profit over a loss, right? So whatever you're plugging into this thing, profitability is pretty much that net profit that's coming out after expenses, after loss. That's what they're hoping for, is profitability. Now, what about return of investment? So if you're taking notes right now, ROI. And again, I apologize for my voice. I've been talking so much over the past few days. And of course, screaming, yelling, whatever it might be. So hold on one second. So what's the definition of a return of investment? You ready for this? It's a performance measurement used to evaluate the profitability of an investment. I'm going to repeat that. The ROI of your business right now, it's a performance measurement used to evaluate the profitability of the investment that you're plugging into it. So what's another word for return? Okay. So when we think of a return, what are we really thinking about? We're thinking about the benefit. We're thinking about the reward. We're thinking about the result. So when we're thinking of the investment that we've got to plug in first, you can't reap without sowing. So in other words, you got to put the investment first, then you can reap potentially a return. So what is another word for investment? Another word for investment in our arena is what? Maybe we're investing our time. Maybe we're investing our money. Maybe we're investing our energy. Maybe we're investing our intelligence. Maybe we're investing our resources. Whatever the investment is, it is also seen as a risk. It's also seen as a sacrifice. Okay. Some of you right now, you're in the heat of just getting started potentially as a new agent, or you're creating momentum right now, and you're really heavily in that risk tolerance. You're aggressively going after that investment of really moving forward with that momentum. And really, what's your sacrifice right now? Some of you are in it right now. And so if you're looking at the fact of this return of investment, it's okay, is the reward or is the sacrifice going to be worth the reward? And some of you guys right now are thinking about that. Is it worth it? And so to calculate the return of investment, to do that, it's very simple. And Jermaine, if you can actually write this inside the chat, that'd be awesome. Or anyone else, if anyone could do that. Return of investment divided by the cost of the investment. Let me repeat that. It's the return on investment divided by the cost of investment. Here's your perspective here. You ready for this? Okay. Let's take the stock market. The stock market doubles on average every decade. That's the stock market. They double, We're not talking about tripling. We're not talking about 1,000%, rate of return. No. We're just talking the stock market doubles on average every 10 years. Matter of fact, a good ROI, according to conventional wisdom, says this: an annual return of investment is approximately 7%. 7%. If you can get a 7% return on your investment, folks, what I'm about to show you is going to blow your mind. Ready for this? Check this out. Again, I know what's coming next because what I'm about to show you should blow your mind. Ready for this? Check this out. I was texting Laura Boynton earlier today. You're going to be hearing from her in just a few minutes. And I said, Laura, let's kind of put this strategy to test here, okay? And I said, what did you make last month in net deposits? Okay, what did you make after expenses? And then what was the cost of the investment? Like, again, what was the, rate of return? Sorry, my bad. Laura Boynton, net deposits was 9,645 divided by the cost of the investment, which was, what was your lead cost? $234. So she made $9,645 divided by 234, which was her lead investment. Okay, check this out. That's 41 times more than her investment. Not double, not triple. That is a 4,100% return of investment. What? Wait a minute. And that was 1 month. She didn't have to wait a decade to get that return. Okay? Some of us right now, we're looking at this and maybe you're complaining about the leads. Maybe you're complaining about the system. Maybe you're complaining about the resources. Maybe you're complaining about this or that. But when you really look at it from a traditional business, conventional wisdom, and you're looking at the actuaries, you're looking at the stats, you're looking at other returns with other businesses, did you know that a normal average business in corporate America, if you started your own traditional brick and mortar business, you wouldn't receive a profitability for up to maybe potentially 3 years? If you started your own McDonald's, 3 years to turn a profit, right? And we're sitting here looking at this thing like, wait a minute, Laura Boynton made $9,645, plugged in the investment of $234 in NASB leads, and got a 41 time greater return on that investment. That is amazing. Now, what about this? Check this out. Let me go a little bit further here because I want you to think a little bit deeper when it comes to per hour and also the rate of return. Rate of return is relative to time. So it's not so much about the return of investment, but now let's look at the return of investment over time. If Laura Boynton physically did what she did last month, what would it look like potentially a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 4 years from now, 5 years from now? Now, let me take me, for example, okay? So a lot of you don't know this, but my first year, okay, 2015 was my first year working full-time with NASB, right? And so that was, I don't even think I took a vacation, but I'm just going to hypothetically say that in those 50 work weeks out of the 52, let's just say I hypothetically took a 2-week vacation. So if I was working 40 hours a week and I made $50,000, okay, now check this out. If I divide that out by the 50 weeks, divided by 40 hours per week, my hourly rate, my hourly was $25 per hour. That's what I was making $50,000 in deposits that year in 2015. Okay. Now, what about the rate of return? And this is where I need y'all to think a little bit differently about where you are right now and where you can be in the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Because employees think short term. They think biweekly. If I plug in 2 weeks of work, my return is going to be a paycheck. That's how an employee thinks. That's how a W-2 thinks. What does a business owner think? A business owner thinks, okay, let me actually plug in the investment and then let me look at this thing monthly, quarterly, annually. Let me look at this thing 2, 3, 4, 5 years out as to what my investment is going to be. So check this out. So I computed the math here because, again, I love how these numbers work when it comes to relativity of the rate of return. And you got to understand that, let's say it's your first month, your first 6 months, or maybe you've been here for a few years. So I did the math here. My first year, I did 50,000. My 8th year, full-time with NASB, I did 1,287,000 in deposits. Now I added up all of my deposits for 8 years. It was well over $4 million. Okay. I took the average. So if I computed over the 4 million, it was like 4,616,000, right? That I made in the past 8 years with NASB working full time. And if I compute this and I take off 2 weeks of vacation, just like a normal average potential, working person out there, if I do the average on that, that came out to about $600,000 per year. Okay. In other words, are you looking at this thing as if it's producing a $25 return? Or are you looking at this thing like it's a $311 per hour return? Because that's what it was worth to me in 2015, right? That was what it was worth to me back then. Can you see this thing a little bit differently? I want you to write this down. Patience precedes profitability. You got to be patient in this thing. You got to be patient, right? So employees, like I said, they think short term. And then they also think about what? They think about the risk. They're not thinking about the return. They're thinking about the risk. So which one are you? Are you so concerned about the risk that you're pouring in? Or are you concerned about what? The return. Which one is it? You're gonna have to make an investment no matter which way you go. You're gonna make an investment, right? I was talking to somebody the other day and this person, actually one of the potential, hires that we're looking at, man, this girl, she don't sleep. She don't sleep. She's working so much. She's working as a lab aide, and then she's also working Uber, right? And, the crazy thing that just blows my mind is how many people just think that, well, if I'm going to get ahead, if I just plug more hours, right? Versus you have an opportunity right now where physically, if you could look ahead and see this thing for what it's worth, how much your time is so valuable. And how are you seeing this thing? What are the investments that you're pouring in? The risk that you're pouring in is your time, your money, your energy, and your resources. The returns that you're going to get is what? Your time, your energy, your money, your resources, right? That's the return. So check this out. Performance precedes profitability. Performance precedes profitability. What is your strategy for execution now? Not just waiting till March Madness. What is your strategy? Not your goal, not your plan, right? What is your strategy of execution? What are you physically going to do with the time that you have left right now? It's 8:45 a.m. Those that are plugged onto this call, congratulations. You are very wise. You are very smart. Now, what are you going to do right after this call? Are you already showered? Are you ready to go? Did you wake up really early this morning? Was your mind already in the right place? Did you already invest personally in yourself? It all boils down to your daily routine. How are you managing this thing, right? Your time management, your expenses. How are you managing these risks? How are you managing these investments of your time, your money, your energy, your resources? I probably spent over, I don't even know, $10,000, $15,000 on my website that I've been developing since 2017, right? Is that a great resource? Yes, it's a phenomenal resource, just like Greg Baden's website, just like Laura's website, right? But we put the time, the energy, the money into this thing because why? Because it was part of our strategy of execution. Performance precedes profitability. How are you performing at your trade right now? How are you studying? How are you mastering this, right? If you're looking at your week and then you're looking at your month and you're looking at your activity tracker, you should be game planning, strategizing with your coach and saying, Coach, gut me. What are my blind spots? I did that so many times in the beginning, so many times in the middle, so many times even as a partner right now. I think I've said probably, and Greg, you can vouch for this, I probably asked Greg and Jordan over the past maybe 24 months more, how should I respond to this, Jordan and Greg? Tell me how I should respond to this, right? What should be my strategy? How should I think about this investment of my time with this agent, of my time in general? What about your perspective precedes profitability? How you see this thing is everything, right? Do you see it as a 311 per hour business opportunity per hour, and that's what you're worth, right? Make sense? I don't think I'm worth $311 per hour. I think I'm more than that. And I'm going to prove it. I'm going to show it in my what? In my daily routine, in my habits, in the way that I think, in the words that come out of my mouth, right? So again, you got to look at this thing differently. Patience precedes profitability. Performance precedes profitability. Your perspective precedes profitability. How profitable is your return of investment? I told Greg and Jordan this many, many times. I want to be the biggest blessing on your team. I want to be the biggest servant-driven leader on your team. Whatever I can do to serve, whatever I can do to help you maximize your goals, maximize whatever your vision is, whatever your mission is, Greg and Jordan, whatever I can do to help serve you, whatever you need from me, I want to do it, right? Because I want to be one of the biggest returns for Greg and Jordan. I want to be the most valuable to them and their business. Because why? Because I know that if I am valuable, I know they're always going to answer my call. I know they'll always have my back. I know they'll always be there for me. Does that make sense? So, it's this aspect of how profitable are you? Let's go to Samantha Tony. Samantha, do I have you? Let's go over the top 10. I know that you love this subject of investing. Samantha, do I have you?
Yes, I'm here, Ashley.
All right, all right. Well, I tell you what, I've heard great things about you from Greg Baden and Jermaine, and I enjoyed talking to you last night as well. So let's go over the top 10 and let's go ahead and interview some of these top players.
All right, all right. Well, let's get to it. So I have your top 10 for the week of February 12th, and I'm going to start here. We have Kathleen Ibis. Okay, she's got 8,293 over 7 apps. We have Ashley Turner coming in at number 9 at 8,296 and 92 cents with 9 apps. Then we have Chelsea Peak, $9,135 over 7 apps, coming in at number 7. Number 6, we have Chamberlain Oguchi with $9,394 over 2 apps. Good God. All right. And coming in at number 5, we have Jonathan Jones with $9,791.22 over 18 apps. You were busy. All right. Coming in, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I miscounted. All right. So we're at number 6 with Samantha Rangel, $10,667.64 over 8.5 apps. Then next we have Riley Perry, $12,065 over 7 apps. Jermaine Watkins overseeing that with $12,301 over 15 apps. And we have in the number 2 spot, Jim Harrell, $13,050 over 12 apps. And number 1 is Laura Boyington with $13,747.80 over 12 apps. Congratulations, you guys. All right.
Yeah, let's go ahead and check out those 2 folks. Who are we going to interview today?
Okay, so today we're going to interview Laura Boyington and Chamberlain Oguchi. And gosh, I'm so excited to ask you guys these questions and piggyback off of what Ashley talked about this morning. So let me start with you, Laura, if I can get you. Do I have you?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
All right, awesome. Good morning.
Good morning.
So I'm just going to ask you to quickly do a 60-second elevator pitch of who you are so everybody can get familiar with you. What was your former career? How long have you been in the business? Where are you at city and state-wise? And what started you here?
So I was in dental for 30 years. And then, so I live in Coward, South Carolina, excuse me. And then what got me here was a toxic work environment, and I applied it 32 different Indeed jobs in one day, and got hired by Jessica, and the rest is history. I've been here since last July 1st, and just hit the ground running and loving every minute of it.
Awesome. Wow. Well,
She froze.
No, it's okay. Let's keep moving forward. So Laura, tell us a little bit about
I was
that you had a
question for you,
toxic.
Laura. I want to hop right in because I'm very excited for this.
No, keep going, Samantha. You're good. Keep going.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. My connection went out for a second. Okay, so Laura, when we talk about return on investment, some people, we look at the money for sure, but some people look at a return as maybe freedom of their time, their purpose and impact, their self-improvement. So I'm just curious, what does success look like to you specifically? Yes, we have money, but what does it allow for in order for you to personally feel like you're successful?
Well, Samantha, honestly, I ran across this quote a couple of weeks ago, and I'm sure that some people probably have heard it before, but it says you're suffering from self-doubt while others are intimidated by your full potential. And when I first came into NASB, of course, I was full of self-doubt that I knew I could do it, but I felt like I kept the reins tight around me and held myself back because I was so afraid of what I had already experienced in the corporate world, where people didn't believe in you. And then you wouldn't be successful, and then you couldn't do this because somebody was going to be upset. So what I did is I ended up having to realize that my potential is based on my persistence. And my best coaches are Jessica and Michaela, and then Ashley. And Michaela tells me all the time, Laura, if there was a word for you, it is persistence. And I am persistent. So that is probably the biggest takeaway from me, is that just get out there and do it. My return of investment is, I believe in doing what you're supposed to do, and I believe in helping others. And it was 2 days ago, I think it was, and I didn't make a sale, but I didn't come home upset because there was 4 people that I still helped, and I loved it. I loved every minute of it. And I may not be in the top 5 this week. I may not even be in the top 10, but I'm not going to tuck my tail between my legs and, go home and cry about it on the couch, because I know I'm still doing my job. And so I think that's my biggest thing. Is that what? Awesome. I hope that's answered your questions.
It did. So I'm excited to ask you another question here coming from your background as an employee. I always tell people you got to be willing to work harder for yourself in this business than you did for your boss. That double son of a biscuit, which is backwards. So you got to be willing to work harder for yourself than that double son of a biscuit. Okay. And if you do that, it'll pay you like a business. So talk about what was one of the biggest or hardest sacrifices you've made up until this point in your career? And do you still feel the pain of that sacrifices? Because no pain, no gain, right? But a lot of times the pain leaves us sooner than we expect it to, and it's all done. So talk about that.
So as some of y'all know, most of you may know, one of the biggest sacrifices I had to make was I had to make a decision to have foot surgery back in December. And I know that's probably like a little minute sacrifice, but it took me out of the field for almost a month. And for me to come in and hit a January as well as I did, that's probably been my success story, because I didn't stop. I was biting at the chips. I was ready to get out. And then, like, on the very first day, I hit the ground running on crutches. And a friend of mine, apparently, I knocked on her son's door, didn't know that that's where her son lived. And she sends me a video of me crutching to the door like the turtle in the hair. And I was definitely the turtle. And she said, "You're so funny walking on crutches." But that was my most successful day in January. My AP was right at $8,000 that day. And yeah. And so that's one of the biggest sacrifices for me. I'm sorry, I don't have small children anymore. My children are grown, 22 and 26. So I don't have to worry about sacrificing time with them or anything like that. I'm a little bit different because I'm 50. And so, that's just the biggest, that was my biggest sacrifice was back in December. But I did what I had to do. I still made phone calls, and worked really hard trying to make appointments. And listen, I even brought people to my home. I'm my local area. I know so many people. I was league president of a baseball league for about 16 years. So I know so many people in our area. And I just pick up the phone and call and say, hey, you remember me, Coach Laura? And hey, can you come to my house? I need to talk to you about something. And they come. So I still tried, to do whatever I needed to do.
Awesome. Well, this business is about getting creative, and I can definitely relate with your story. Everyone on my team knows that I have a story very similar to that. So I hope others on the call can relate to you and learn from that. I'm going to actually pass it over now to Chamberlain. I want to be respectful of time. I'm so excited. Chamberlain, I have a hard ball to throw at you. So do I have you?
You got me. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Patience,
All right.
patience, performance, perspective precede profitability. Great stuff, Ashley. Hope everybody's doing well. Thanks for having me, Samantha.
Absolutely. Well, Chamberlain, give me your 60-second elevator pitch. Tell everybody what your former career was, how long you've been in the business, where you're at city and state-wise, and what started you here.
Oh, multi-layered question, but the short version is I am a second generation Nigerian, born and raised in Houston, Texas. I am a former collegiate professional and two-time Olympic athlete. Okay, I'm a master's degree holder as well, and I've been with NASB for about a year and a half, maybe a little more than that now. I started when I met Greg Baden, felt like there was a genuine person during our conversation, and I can honestly say that I was a good judge of character that day.
Awesome. Well, that's really powerful stuff you gave us. I know that there's a couple of people that love to say that you defended Kobe Bryant, and so that's what he's known for over here in No Limit. We love that. So Chamberlain, let me ask you this: coming from your career, I mean, that's something that most people kind of dream of, right? And then you find yourself here. Nobody really plans on doing this career, right? But there is a price to pay, and I'm interested to see your answer to this question. So in order to have anything beyond mediocrity, you got to pay a price, right? But here in this business, your price is controlled by you and not your boss, right? That double SOB. And your return is set by what do you do with your time, all right? So your time management and your sacrifice have to be in alignment. So Chamberlain, what do you do with your time that you feel is the best pair with your sacrifice and makes the equation work? Take us through your day.
Great question. Great question. I mean, time management is so important, especially in this business. And I was talking to Greg last night, and me and Greg kind of agreed that I am a creature of habit. And so some of the things that I do to maximize my time, I know not one day is the same for me. No 2 days are the same for me. So some of the things I do to maximize my time, so I make sure I have people to see every day. At least 3 people to see every day. I make sure that my routes are mapped out before I get in the car. My iPad is charged, and if I'm not making phone calls to carriers, I'm making phone calls to potential recruits or potential clients. And so I think those things help me maximize my time best.
Awesome. Okay, and then if I can squeeze in one more question, Chamberlain, what was one of the best non-lead investments you've made so far into your business? So for some people, they work on self-improvement. The more you grow, the more you make. Some is organization. Some invest in business tools like an app or systems, or hire an assistant to leverage your time. Tell us about the biggest non-lead investment you've made that has given you a great return here.
I would say the biggest non-lead investment that I've made is hiring my wife to help me make calls. And I say hiring because we know she's the boss. In college, she worked part-time for a call center. So she's actually pretty proficient in setting up leads for me and helping me convert those leads. So those familiar with, I always say that basketball is a window to real life. And so if you're familiar with basketball lingo, she throws me alley oops and I dunk them. So that's the best non-lead investment that I've made.
Hey, two people moving in the same direction are gonna get there a lot faster. So
That's right.
partnership is key. And wow, you guys did amazing. I wish I had more time to learn from you both, but I would just challenge everyone on here to take what they said and apply it. And think of those questions and how they might apply to your business, and ask yourself, like Ashley talked about in the beginning, what is your hourly net worth right now in this business? How much is your time worth right now? Okay, because then you got to look at what are you willing to give your time to, and it needs to be worth that or more. All right, so when you're away from your family, make it count. All right, I'm gonna pass it back to you, Ashley.
All right. I think back to it, and I think to myself, how many people would have quit if they knew that they made 50,000 their first year? Literally, right? Oh, it doesn't work. That's not a really good return. But then when you really look at it, like I said, it's how you see this thing when you look at it relative to Tom, when you look at it to other businesses and other conventional businesses out there, and how it takes so much time for them over the course of 3 years just to turn a profit. And we've got the opportunity to turn a profit within our first month. Matter of fact, all the returns that we get, even in our first month, pays for everything that we just went through, as far as what? Getting our license, the gas, the leads, all that stuff. So when we're looking at these returns, if the average good ROI is measured at 7%, how are you measuring up? And I would probably sit here and say that every single person that's actually following their strategy consistently with intensity, right? It's not just doing it over and over and over again, but how intense are you plugging away at that strategy so you can fulfill that game plan, so you can fulfill that goal that you really wanted, which was what? The return. Okay. And I would just say this, folks, phenomenal job, Samantha. Great job, Laura. Great job, Chamberlain. And I was actually researching you, Chamberlain. And oh my gosh, you are so right. I saw a picture of you and Kobe Bryant. So cool, by the way. That was pretty awesome. And he was just cheesing away, right? So, folks, I hope you look at this thing differently. I want you to think about it this way. What is your risk tolerance? What is your risk tolerance right now? Is it aggressive? Right? Is it, not that much? Because this is your appetite. That's how you got to look at it. Like, your risk tolerance is your level of risk, but it's your level of your appetite. How hungry are you? Are you starving? Are you really just ready to take this and make it rain and go crazy during March Madness? Go crazy this week and today? You've got the opportunity where, no joke, the next 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years are going to look back at this moment in time, and it's going to sit there and do something for you. It's going to make some magic for you if you will just look at this thing differently. Folks, have a great day. Let's go get them. Appreciate you, Greg. Appreciate all the speakers today. Let's go get them. Take care, guys.